Word, Luke 8:22 through 26. And when you have it, say amen. Now, it happened on a certain day that he got into a boat with his disciples. And he said to them, watch this, let us cross over to the other side of the lake. And they launched out. But as they sailed, he fell asleep. And a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we perish. Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased, and there was a calm. Calm, there's something good about a calm. You can't pay for a calm. And he said unto them, where is your faith? And they, being afraid, wondered, saying one to another, what manner of man is this? For he commandeth even the winds and water, and they obey him. And they arrived at the country of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. They got there. Somebody say they got there. I want to talk from the subject, steady in the storm. Steady in the storm. Anybody can be steady when there is no storm. But the Lord spoke to me to share with you about being steady, not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. Looks bad, looks tough, but remain steady in the storm. You are closer to there than you have ever been before. And in order to get there, you must be you. I'm not talking about the boat. You must be steady. The true skill set of a leader is to be steady in the storm. I used to tell my kids, my wife, and say, I tell them all the time, don't you get scared till I get scared. Don't you get nervous till I get nervous. Don't you panic till you see me panic. If you see my eyes bucked, buck your eyes. But as long Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on us right now. I feel you already. I thank you for your presence and your glory. Let something transformative happen today in this building, with this people, with the people that are streaming online. There are some people that are streaming online, Lord, who are in the middle of a storm and a blessing. They got a word from God and a storm. Everything's rocking and reeling and going crazy at the same time that they know they got Jesus. And you are speaking to them to be steady when everything around them is going crazy. Penetrate every natural propensity to panic and anoint them with steadiness, tranquility, even rest, even sleep. Let them be steady in the storm. In Jesus' name, amen. I want to talk to you. I was flying back. I was in Washington on Thursday. I did a empowerment session for a business conference on Saturday morning. I got on the plane Saturday afternoon to fly home to get in Saturday night to preach Sunday morning, and the pilot came out and he said, in order to get you from Miami back to Dallas, we're going to take you out across the water, so I want to give you the instructions myself. He said, if we go underwater, don't try to go out the big door. Don't do that. He said, go out the small exits in the back. There are life rafts under your seats, and we catch on fire, there's fire extinguishers here, and here. And they always give you that stuff, but he went into a little bit too much detail. Yeah, he went into a little extra detail, you know. But I thought how amazing it was that they were prepared for all types of calamities before they came. If the cabin loses pressure, we're prepared for that. If it catches on fire, we're prepared for that. If it goes underwater, we're prepared for that. If we pass out and die, we're prepared for that. With any inevitable situation, we've got guidance to bring you in. We're gonna get you home. The problem is most things start out calm. The flight started out calm. My flight started out calm. The disciples on the sea with Jesus started out calm. Jesus gave them one command: let us cross over to the other side. But God is not big on details. He tells you, we're going to the other side. He does not tell you what's going to happen on the way. And the reality of the thing is, this guy who did this video could have taken his own ticket and gone home and not had that experience. As horrific as that is, and that sounds like really horrific to me, for both my pilots to pass out and I'm on there saying hello, that's not a good hello. That for me would be a very smelly hello. When I got down, I wouldn't want anybody to come get me out, because this would be personal, okay? Yeah, I would be in a bad way. There are things that scare the living daylights out of you on the way. It's not the takeoff that you have to be concerned about, because most things take off good. Most marriages take off good. Most business ventures take off good. Most little babies start out good. They so cute. They just cute. They don't try to be cute, they just cute. They don't try to have dimples, they don't put on makeup, they don't do nothing, they just lay there, they just so cute. The takeoff is always great. It's the things that happen in the middle that are the most disruptive. It's the things that happen in the middle that challenge your ability to be steady. Now, I know he could have bypassed all of that and followed his, as my mother would say, followed his first mind and went home in a conventional way and avoided that. But look at what he would have missed learning. He learned some things about God. He learned some things about life. He learned some things about discipline. He learned some things about obedience that only the storm can teach you. Listening to that podcast can't really teach you how to handle the storms that come in your life. Because you're listening, but you're not really listening till it's you. When I can tell you all day long about grief, and you can say, oh, bless him, Lord, I'm praying for you. But when it happens to somebody you love, you say, oh my God, wait a minute. Hold on, Jesus, Lord have mercy. I don't know if I can make it through this. And most of the time, our trauma triggers other traumas. And our reaction to the trauma is compounded by the other things that happen along the way. And there you are in a crisis, in a storm, and you're trying to get to the other side. I'm trying to get there. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to get there. Wherever there is, wherever God has predestined for me to go. I want you to notice that he determined the end from the beginning. He said, let us cross over to the other side before they ever even started. He knew where he wanted to go before they pushed off into the water. He knew where he wanted you to go before he formed you in your mama's belly. He knew what he had predestined for you to do before you ever took your first day at school and your mama walked you down to the bus station trying to make sure you had your pants on straight and your lunch money in your pocket or your lunch satchel. Before all of that stuff ever even started, he had predestined for you to go to a place. But in the process of getting there, storms arise. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about, he was writing a book about marriage, and he'd been married about 3 years. And it kind of like, I know I'm getting old and getting a little fogey and stuff like that, but it kind of got on my nerves. It's not that he's not smart enough to write a good book, but you ain't got there yet. You haven't hit the storms, the inevitable storms. I'm not saying you picked a bad choice, that's yet to be determined. I'm not saying she picked a bad choice, that's yet to be determined. You'll find out who you got in the storm. You hire people to be in a position, and the resume is amazing, and the interview is great, and the first few weeks on the job they're impeccable, but you don't know who you got till you get in a storm, till there's pressure applied, until they have to do something after work, until they are inconvenienced, until they're in crisis mode and they're stressed out and they're talking about hello. The one thing that we all have in common, black or white, rich or poor, Democrat or Republican, short or tall, vegan or a foodie. I don't care what philosophy you choose to fly up under, the one thing I can guarantee you that all of us will face, male or female, is a storm. Single or married is a storm. Divorced or not is a storm. There is nobody you're going to meet or greet or fall in love with or fall out of love with that will avoid the fact that storms are built into God's plan for getting you to the other side. You have to know that he equipped you with a fire extinguisher and a life raft and an emergency exit and a door that moves and an automated system and a microphone, and so that even when you can't see him, you can hear him, and if you will follow his voice, you will get to the other side. The problem is storms are noisy. and they're loud and they're disruptive, and there's so many people screaming and hollering, and people are saying hold back, and people are saying push through, and people are saying turn the wheel, and somebody else is saying grab the rudder, and somebody else is saying throw the weights off, and somebody else is saying cast the anchor, and somebody else is saying put up the sail, and you're standing there, you don't know whether to put up the sail, throw the anchor, cast the side. And the real art I have learned so far in the storm is not fixing the storm. The first thing we do when we get in the storm is to try to fix the storm. The storm is not yours to fix. The storm is yours to survive. You cannot fix the storm. That's number one. You cannot fix the storm. You cannot fix the storm. And this drives you crazy. And I'm gonna make a generalization. It's not always true, but I'm gonna make it anyway. But it's particularly difficult for men because we are raised to fix stuff. We grew up fixing stuff. A lot of women grew up with relationships with dolls, with doll babies, playing the house, all that kind of stuff. You grew up with that kind of stuff. We grew up fixing stuff. Most of us, they didn't give us doll babies. They probably should have. Maybe we'd have been better fathers if we'd have practiced with babies. We practiced making them better than we did having them. So maybe we would have been better, but they gave us tools and they gave us stuff to build and they gave us stuff to fix. And so whenever you give us a problem, we want to fix it because we feel like we're a failure if we don't fix it. And there are some women who feel that way too. You feel like you failed if you don't fix it. If your daughter doesn't turn out the way you wanted her to turn out, if your son doesn't turn out the way you wanted, if your marriage doesn't turn out the way you wanted to turn out, you lose self-esteem because you feel like it's your fault because you can't fix it. And you're embarrassed to admit to other people that you're on your third marriage and that you can't fix it. And you're embarrassed to admit to other people that you have been here a year and gone through 3 jobs and you can't fix it. And I came to tell you, every storm that comes your way is not your job to fix. I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit. Because a lot of you pride yourself on being able to fix people. And that's why you pick out fixer-uppers. Because you think you're so good at fixing stuff that you are drawn to people who are fixer-uppers so that you feel needed and you can fix them up. You are not on this boat to fix this storm. When they set sail, everything was cool. Jesus is taking a nap because this is an important trip. This is an important trip because to cross over the Sea of Galilee and go to the other side was to go to Gadarenes. Not just that the man was possessed with demons, but the man who was possessed with demons was a Gentile. And getting the gospel over to the Gentiles was a very important trip. It was a prophetic trip. Jesus experiencing the Jews on one side and the Gentiles on the other was a prophetic picture of what was going to happen to the early church. The early church was going to start being offered to the Jews and consequently end up going to the Gentiles. It was going to start out being based in Jerusalem and end up based in Rome. The church was going to take the same journey that the boat did. The church is the boat. The sea is the world. And here we are trying to navigate the church through the tempest of the world. And the boat has one culture and the sea has another culture, and we are in it though we're not of it, and we have to survive it being in the middle of it, because even though we're not of it, we are still in it, and we get tossed and beat to and fro because we can't get the boat to work without putting it in the water. And the church doesn't work without the world. The church doesn't work without the world. Every time the church has tried to escape the world, we've made fools of ourselves. If you know church history, there are many times we've gone up on the mountain to wait for Jesus. We've colonized and moved out and become cultish to wait on Jesus. Anytime the boat tries to escape the sea, it ends up embarrassed because the boat only works in the sea. And the church only works in the world, and the world is unpredictable. One text can change the next 10 years of your life. One phone call can change how the rest of your day goes. One text and you're trying to book a flight to get out of here on the next flight possible to get to some place that you never expected to get to as quickly as you could because all of a sudden a storm hits you. Storms don't always warn you that they're coming. It's not like they send out a notice and say, you're getting ready to get on a boat and all hell's gonna break loose. Oh, about 50 fathoms out into the water, you're gonna run into the worst time of your life. You're gonna think you're gonna die. Oh, once you get so high in the air, the pilot is gonna pass out and you're gonna be scared out of your wits and you're gonna almost lose your mind. Oh, you're gonna have a baby and the baby's gonna die in your arms and you're gonna be sadder than you've ever been in your life. You're gonna lose all 3 of your first pregnancies. Your husband is gonna leave you for your girlfriend or your sister, your auntie, your cousin, run off with your mama. No, nobody, you don't get to pick. Oh, you think that's funny? You think that's funny, don't you? Yeah, you think that's funny, but that's happening. That's happening. That's happening. That's happening. That's happening all around you. Nobody gets to tell you that your beautiful bride is going to fall in love with a beautiful bride and leave you home alone. Hee hee, ha ha, ha ha, hee hee, ha ha, hee hee, ha ha, ha. But it's happening. And how do you sit down at the sports bar and tell your boys you lost your girl to a girl? But it's happening. You don't get to pick the storm you face. Peter didn't ask for this storm. He didn't vote for this storm. He didn't have a meeting with God and say, oh God, I want to deal with leukemia. I pick leukemia. What do you want? Do you want to go blind or would you prefer leukemia? How about losing a couple of toes? Would you rather lose your family or lose your toes? Would you rather lose your leg or lose your sight? Would you rather lose your mind or just lose your memory? Which you don't get to pick what life is going to hand you. You cannot control the storm. And to all those control freaks, which come in both genders, you have a special degree of trauma because the only time you feel safe is when you're in control. And what binds together the story between the airplane and the boat is both of them faced a season of being totally out of control. And I confess to you, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I don't want to be in something I can't control. I don't want to be in a plane because I can't fly it. And if you can't fly it and I can't fly it, I don't want to go. I don't want to operate on myself because I'm not trained to do it. I don't want to be picked for a job I can't perform. I want to know clearly what the expectations are for me before I get the job. Because I'd rather give you the check back than to take the money and disappoint you because I can't deliver what you're asking for. And when you're in a storm, the big question in your mind is, do I have what it takes to stand against this storm? Am I equipped? Am I fully equipped? Can I get my hand on my life vest? Can I swim out of here? Can I withstand how cold this water's gonna be? Can I make it through at my my age? Can I make it through at my stage? Can I make it through at this moment in my life? Can I make it through after all the other stuff we've been through? After all, we were busy before we got on the boat. We were journeying before we got on the boat. All hell it broke loose before we got on the boat. And now I'm on the boat and I'm so tired that Jesus has gone to bed. This is not a good time to have a storm. I want to talk to some real people who were tired before it ever even started. All hell was breaking loose before it ever even started. And you know, if Jesus went to bed, Peter was sleepy. Because everywhere Jesus had been, Peter had been. And the worst time to have a storm is when you're already tired. That's why the enemy waits till you're tired. He waits till you're burned out. He waits till you're frustrated. He waits till you're out of gas. He don't jump on you when you're fresh. He don't jump on you when you're feeling strong. He don't jump on you when you got it all together. He waits till you are exhausted and you feel like if one more thing hits me, I am going to lose it up in here. And that's when the storm comes. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over, from Old Testament to New Testament, there's one consistent phrase you see over and over again. And it came to pass. And it came to pass. And it came to pass. After many days, Jesus was in Gennesaret, and it came to pass that Ezekiel found himself in a valley. And it came to pass. And what you don't realize is that phrase is not just a lead-in to the story. Every storm that ever hit the planet came. Let me try this side over here. Maybe I can find a little bit more faith. Every storm that ever hit the planet, no matter how fierce, no matter how devastating, no matter how many homes were destroyed, no matter how many people died in it, they always come. They give them new names. They give them different names. They run out of alphabets for it. Hurricane Ira, Hurricane Zozo, Hurricane Mabel, Hurricane, I don't care what you call it, it's still a hurricane. And no matter how severe, no matter how terrible, no matter how many lives were lost, dogs were lost, horses were lost, people were lost, families were lost, it still comes to pass. One of the saddest stories I heard in Katrina, I was down there with the men that were pulling people out of the houses. One of the saddest stories was so much water had filled up the apartment that the dresser had pinned the father up against the wall. And he had a little baby, and he was holding the baby up in the air. And they found him and the baby dead. And he was trying to keep his child alive in the storm. Dying with his arm extended, trying to minimize the loss of the storm. Storms as fierce as that are over. Hundreds of thousands of people dead. But the storm is over. How many times in your life have you gone through something you thought you wasn't going to make it? Where are my real people at this morning? Where are my real people at this morning? You remember Fred Sanford when he grabbed his chest and said, "Oh, this is the big one." I have grabbed my chest so many times I should have a handprint on my chest because I swore, "Oh my God, this is the big one. I'm never going to make it out of this. Oh God, this is too much. I can't handle it. I can't take it. I can't." And half of the stuff that broke my heart and brought me to tears and almost drove me crazy, I can't even remember. I can't even remember. I can't even remember what I was so frantic about. I can't remember why I was so frantic. I can't even, it's in my rear view mirror. But in that moment, in that second, when that storm hits and your feet get wet and the boat starts filling up with water, and Peter, who is an experienced sailor, doubts, can I be steady in the storm?